Okay, welcome to the channel. What's our issue today? Prepping for paint. Now, the biggest thing that people are unaware of really is the amount of time and effort that goes into the prep. There's way more time that goes into the prep of the thing that you want to paint rather than just putting the colour on. The colour is a tiny amount of it. It's just getting it all right. Okay, here we've got a tank that was prepped. Now we'll go into this in a minute. It was prepared, but there are several glaring issues with it. Okay, we'll come on to that in a sec. But first of all, when we're going to paint the tank, we're going to take it back to bare metal. Okay, we need to sand it all back to bare metal. That's if it isn't bare metal, like that anyway. Okay, but if you've got a tank that's say like so, that's got paint on it, it needs to go back to bare metal. And you take it all back to bare metal, that way you can see any issues with it, pinholes in it, holes, damage. Quite often you may find that it's got damage before, there's a bit of filler in there and stuff like that. Also, if it's got rust patches and stuff, you might find pinholes where it would leak. So that's what you need to get down to, all the way back to the bare metal. Okay. Once you've done that, you then prepare the surface, make sure you repair any damage, etc. on it, and then you can put you're looking for your first layer of primer. Laying the primer onto there. Not too heavy, but just putting primer on is not it. That's not finished. You want to put the primer onto there, and you're going to be sanding the primer with various different grades of paper. The smoother you get your primer, the better finish you're going to have on your paint. So I normally have loads in here, but we have this sort of stuff. It's very, very fine papers. This is a 500, so the bigger the number on the back, the finer the paper. Okay, so if you're looking all the way down to things like sort of 40 grit and stuff like that, I mean, crikey, that stuff's like tarmac. You know, I mean, literally it's that coarse. Then you can progress all the way down to sort of 60s, 80s, 120, 240, 320s, 500s, and then you'll go on to thousands, all the way to 1500. Say 50, no, we've got more than that actually. Sorry, nearly like 5,000, which is your emery papers and stuff like that. But very, very, very fine. Now this has been rubbed back, so somebody did prep on this, but it's not right. Okay, it's a bit of a shame because we wanted to use this tank, but it's not right. Okay, one of our main issues then. Main issues is one, we got it back. Ah, yeah, it's all been prepped, it's all been done. Hasn't, has it really? When we looked underneath these areas underneath, as soon as we started rubbing it back, well, hang on a minute, this doesn't look as though it's been even looked at. Underneath this lip here, it's all rusted. All rusted, it's not been prepped. I mean, if you have a look in here, I'm going to have a go at that in a sec, but I reckon that's just been primered over rust along this edge, and same on the other side when we went into it, rust. Don't primer over rust. You know, it's half-arsing a job, and it's going to come back. It's going to come back, and yet equally, if you look at underneath, you know, actually nothing had been touched underneath this. Look at all this.
Yeah.
You know, you need to do both sides of it. Not only the top, what your finish is, but underneath as well, because this will only migrate. That will migrate into your and it will bubble your paint off and make an absolute state of it. So this is going to have to be all redone, which is unfortunate. It's a little bit frustrating, but we will get on there and redo it. But certainly those are a few little tips for you for when you're preparing things. Get right in there. I mean, God, look at this. And do you know what? Let's have a crack into that, baby. Let's have a look, mate.
Yeah.
And just see what we're dealing with. So this has been, you know, prepped or whatever. Where was that bit here? This bit here.
Yeah.
See all that? Wait, so let's get in there, give it a bit of a blat. Hang on, let's get this right so you can actually see it on the camera.
How's that going?
There we go. You see in here. In fact, you can see in the colour of it.
Yeah.
the rust, so it's rusty underneath there, and it's just been primered over the top. I mean, fairly self-explanatory, this sort of stuff. As soon as I start ripping into it, it's all rusted underneath. But I dare say I'll probably go over with a screwdriver, and it'll just flake off.
Yeah.
You know, here's a little screwdriver. I mean,
yeah.
Don't pay over that. That is a way better example there. But you don't pay over that. There's no point in putting a decent finish on there when that is like that. Okay, it's going to migrate over and it'll ruin your paint on the other side. And even if it's hid behind panels, I don't care if it's hid behind panels, you need to get in there and you need to clean it all off. Oh God, look at it, here we go, I'm on this one now. So this is external, look at that. Painted over rust. So that's primered.
Yeah, it's really rusty.
Over rust. No good, no good. So that's what I'm talking about when we're saying prep the whole tank. Now underneath, we always prep a tank anyway underneath, and we just paint it matte black. Okay, you just go over it matte black and it seals it up underneath. You're not going to see it anyway, but we're matte black underneath. But we'll get rid of all that. You don't paint over this sort of stuff. Now, the other thing we need to touch on is the neck. Now this has been masked up right, that's alright, okay? So if you look at this neck, we've masked up all the way down to the base there.
Yeah.
Why have we done that? Okay, you don't go really high on the tank with the paint because you get petrol vapour. Petrol vapour gets underneath the paint, it'll get underneath it from that little lip and it'll bubble and you'll end up with bubbles around your filler cap. So even at your priming stage you want to leave that bare metal so you actually only come to the very base of that filler cap. Yeah, so we're not going to paint any higher than that. So that is a little bit of a idea on what you need to prep, things you should and should not be doing when you're doing a tank. Now I'll have to get on with this and rip it all down and take it all back to bare metal so we can actually do it. In fact, not there you go. I mean, when we were looking at this, when we had our suspicions, we were like, hang on a minute, when we looked at this, we took this back to bare metal and just we're like, nah, this is all really bad. So yeah, there we go. Do the job properly or don't do it at all. That is what you should be doing. Okay, if you like that and it gives you a couple of ideas and a few lessons, then hopefully that works for you. Please like and subscribe.